I have a very, very special guest, somebody that support a real African history, Houston history, my community, a part of the Black Panther Party. He fought for us in a time when a lot of people turned their backs on us, when the government and corporations and the system as a whole came down on us with COINTELPRO. A man that deserves his honor and respect, and it's up to my generation and us to keep his name and not just him, what he stood for the Panther Party, for every organization that was a unified organization for us as a black community to overcome, overtake, and overthrow this system that has been oppressing us for the last 500 years and even all the way back in the time of the Egyptians. It is my honor to introduce Mr. John Bunchy Crear, former ranking member, comrade of the Houston Black Panther Party, the Houston People's Party, too, that was also led by Carl Hampton. And I just want to introduce him and give him his flowers while he's here and honor this great man.
Yeah. Thanks for having me here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I appreciate everything you're doing, because that's the most important thing. Many times I get young people come up to me and they'll tell me, thank you for all you did and all this stuff. But like I tell them, I want to thank them.
Yes, sir.
Because if the youth don't keep the legacy going, and not just keep the legacy going. When I mean keep the legacy going, I mean put in the work.
Yes, sir.
So that's the most important thing, is putting in the work. So if that doesn't continue, then everything we did, everything we lived and died and went to prison for, would mean nothing.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So for the people who don't know who I'm talking to, who is John Bunchy Crear?
Well, I was born here in Houston in 5th Ward.
Yes, sir.
At that time, it was St. Elizabeth Hospital on Lyons Avenue.
Okay.
I was born there, and
I go to church right next door to that.
Okay.
First Shiloh. I was just there yesterday. I buried my grandmother there yesterday.
Yeah, well, that's what I was. And my grandmother lived on Lyons.
Okay.
My mother at the time I was born, she was a student at Texas Southern University. My father graduated from Prairie View, and he was studying to be a doctor.
Okay.
So, when we were young, I was born in 1952. I mean, both of them. My father was studying and working, and my mother was in like I said, Texas Southern.
How was it you growing up with your father studying to be a doctor, and you having a mother that was a college student at TSU in the 1950s?
Well, it's something because
in 5th Ward too.
Yeah. One of the members I remember is when my mother at Texas Southern, she, they had a daycare for kids on campus, and at that time Wheeler Avenue ran right through the campus. It wasn't closed like it is now, but I have a twin sister, and I remember the first day they took us. My mother dropped off the daycare. I mean, we just cut up.
Yeah,
we couldn't stop crying. So the woman that ran the daycare, she said, "Okay, well, we're gonna go find your mother." So she took the whole class, walking in the line. And then she knew we weren't gonna find her, but it was just to quiet us. Yes. She took the whole class walking all around TSU, and then when we could find her, we were cool. Okay, all right. Yeah. But so and then with my father working, and when I say working, he used to my uncle. Hargrove Wooten at the time. This was something for a black man in the 50s. He owned 3 pharmacies.
So he was an entrepreneur.
Yeah, one was on Lyons Avenue, right off of Waco.
Right here.
One was downtown where the alley theater is right now, and then one was right on the corner of Dowling and West Gray.
Man.
And then the one on the Dowling and West Gray, he had a lunch counter and soda fountain and that thing. So my father, when I say he was working, he would deliver prescription drugs for my uncle. And
the people who don't know these addresses, these are prime real estate locations that's in Houston, Texas.
Right.
Everywhere he just named.
Right. Very prime right now. That's why they white folks trying to take it back.
Yeah.
Because it's central to everything.
Yeah.
But anyway, so with him working, and I remember we lived on Hershey Street.
Right here. In
Yeah,
Fifth Ward.
right, right off of Waco.
Waco,
And the track, and during that time it was a train track ran through there. And he had a in the front room off of their bedroom. He had a laboratory. He had microscopes.
So he was actually really making the medicine.
Well, not making the medicine. This my father. He was studying.
Oh, he was studying.
Yeah,
Okay,
I mean, he would do stuff like he'd have frogs in there. He's dissecting and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's
and
crazy.
Like I say, he had the microscope and the whole thing was right there studying. And then my mother, once she graduated, she taught at Pleasantville Elementary School.
Okay.
In Pleasantville at that time, it was like a suburb.
Yeah, and my aunt taught at Pleasantville for 30, 40 years.
Oh, is that right?
And
yeah.
Diane Moore, yeah.
Yeah. Well, she probably know, but they my mother taught first grade, and we lived in Fifth Ward. Pleasantville wasn't that far.
It was the suburbs of Fifth Ward.
Right, because back then there wasn't no freeway.
Yeah.
You went straight down Lyons, and then when you got to a certain street, you go over to Market, and then you go,
Yeah.
And so me and my sister, because my mother was Catholic, my father was Methodist, but we were baptized as babies.
Yeah.
We did, as Catholic. And we went to Mother Mercy Church, which is still there in Fifth Ward. And we went to school there for a short period of time because we got tired of, I did, the nuns hitting on you, for a little simple ass shit, hold your hand out and they take a ruler and whack you in
Just
the hand.
controlling you.
And so I never forget, we didn't go back. I left my lunch pail there.
Yeah.
And I remember the nuns called. My mother was kind of embarrassed because she was lying to them. She told them we were sick.
Yeah.
But so then we started going to Pleasantville with her.
Yeah.
And that's where I met James Aaron as a little boy. James Aaron, who I'll talk about later, became the chairman of the People's Party too after Carl's assassination.
Man.
And so Carl Hampton was from Pleasantville. My mother taught him. My mother said she remembered Carl very well, that he was a great student, and he was, she enjoyed him being in the class,
So I'm seeing that the people that actually, I'm looking at your childhood and the people that actually that came up later on to become fighters for justice, they came from pretty good backgrounds. They had came from pretty affluent. They was educated parents, right. Togetherness. They had parents that was doing well. They in the Pleasantville area. And do you think
Pleasantville and also Clinton Park, and I don't know, but just like with the party nationwide, I mean, we had a whole wide range of people, like the government, and so they try to portray us as thugs and whatever.
Yeah.
It's just like when Bobby Seale ran for mayor.
He was well educated.
He was, but to run for mayor, and not only to run for mayor, to force the mayor, who had been in office for 14 years, had never been in a runoff, we forced him into a runoff. We got 42%. But everybody who ran that campaign were Black Panther Party members.
And a lot of people don't understand.
We never had people, we didn't hire people from outside the party. Everything we did
was inside the party.
It was party members, yeah.
And a lot of people don't know that the Black Panther Party was actually a political party. They think that was just some type of thug organization.
But it was political in a sense, because when Huey Newton and Bobby Seale founded the Black Panther Party, it was called the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense, because they started the community patrol, the police. But then later on, we dropped the self-defense, and it was just the Black Panther Party, because we were a political party, not in the sense of the Democratic Republican, but that politics affects everything in your life. How much you pay for rent, how much you pay for food, it's all politics. So that's when we dropped the self-defense. And
became a political party.
And became, the Black Panther, just the Black Panther Party. And we ran the campaign, it was a political campaign. Like I said, we want it's like you got independent parties now. That'll run, but most of them won't get
any kind of that much.
2%, 5%, or whatever.
So how was the party treated after they did the runoff in Oakland with the mayor? How was they looked at as a threat after that? Did they see the power that you guys had?
Yeah. I remember we had a concert at the Oakland Coliseum to raise money. Headliner was Ike and Tina Turner. It was the first concert of Grand Central Station. It was another group. These brothers were former party members, and then Elaine Brown. She opened up the concert. But anyway, leading up to the concert, like I said, everything we did, party members going to run it. So, we want to be the ushers, the ticket takers, and so they told us that we couldn't do that because they only allowed union members
to do that.
So then Bobby Seale called the mayor, and he said, well, I tell you what, he said, how much does it cost to join the union? Because we're going to flood the union with Black Panther Party members.
Yeah. So
the mayor called him back a little bit later, said, well, that's all right. Y'all could do whatever y'all want.
Yeah, because it's always a way around a loop. It's always a loophole way around their system. Yeah,
it is, but you have to have people power. You have to have people behind you. It's just like people talk about revolution. It's like Chairman Mao of China said, you can't have a revolution without the support of the people.
And the hardest thing right now in this society, I think we got so blissful and so comfortable that a lot of people think it's not nothing to fight for anymore. It's like, what are you over here hollering about this? What are you talking about revolution? Because people look at me, man, I got people that's family or whatever. They look at me like I'm some type of young crazy man that's always, they say, he crazy.
But that's what the capitalists do, and we live in a capitalist society.
Yeah.
It's like in any instance, it's like I was talking, my good friend is Kofi Tahaka, who's the national chairman of the Black United Front. And he's over at the house all the time. We're sitting around talking. I remember when the George Floyd thing happened. Or even before that, even before George Floyd, he asked me what these times remind him of, because this is when Trump got elected. And I said, it reminds me of the late 60s when Nixon got elected. Nixon was a crook just like Trump. Trump just worse. Yeah. But it was everything was law and order. People protesting, kicked their ass. That whole thing. And then with the George Floyd thing, I told him, I said, watch what's going to happen. I said, they're going to throw money at it. Yeah. That's what capitalists do.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to, let's quiet them down. We throw money at it. And what happened? You had Coke, you had all these major corporations. Well, we're going to give so many $1 million to the NAACP, the Urban League, but they don't give it to the people that's in the community. State Center, I'm sure didn't get no money. Trying to Black Madonna, I'm sure didn't get no money.
Nobody.
And of course, the Nation of Islam didn't get no money.
The Nation of Islam.
But that's what they do. So, like you said, they pacify.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And the money is the ultimate. That was our downfall. That's our ultimate control, us being controlled by money. I looked at that. I played college basketball. I grew up an athlete, and I always been a fan of basketball. I kind of lost my spirit for the game of basketball after I seen Kobe die and just the game changing over the times. But then after I seen this Kyrie Irving situation, when he just decided that he was gonna stand for something, and how everybody else in the NBA, how they was able to control them with that dollar bill, or even with the Colin Kaepernick situation. We are all the athletes in NFL, NBA, but we can't control our destiny. Even the music industry.
Well, yeah, music, or even these petty bourgeois Negroes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, working in corporations.
They think they got some. All that can be taken away.
And when when I'm out selling my book, sometimes it'll surprise you. A lot of white people buy my book. Right. And when I'm out in these corporate events, sometimes selling my book, the black people that's at those corporate events, they won't even look at me. They won't come my way. Right. They act like they don't see me there. Right. But the white people, the people that actually owns the whole. One time, I was at this corporate location out by West Time of selling my book, and I didn't make a book sale the whole day, and it was some corporate woman there, and she came up to me and tried to argue with me about how am I qualified to be selling a book, and she was saying, oh, every black man said they an entrepreneur, every black man said they got land and this and that and that and this. I said, ma'am, can't you see I'm out here trying to sell my book and do something positive? I said, if you're not gonna support, can you just leave? Yeah. And then the next person that came to buy my book, the only book sale I made that day was the man that owned the whole building, him and his wife. They came and talked to me for about 10 minutes, and at night when he was finna leave, I said, "Oh, sir, what do you do here?" He said, "Oh, I actually own this whole company. I sold it 5 years ago, but they still keep me around to pay me, and now my son is like the vice president." But it just show you like our people, they don't look at us when we out here trying to talk about it's a fight, it's something to fight for.
That's what we went through with, like I said, the petty bourgeois, the NAACPs and the urban leagues and all that. Well, even Martin Luther King went through that. You know, people want to talk about it now, but majority of the preachers in the country, they didn't like what he was doing.
Yeah. People hated Martin Luther King.
You causing trouble.
Yeah.
You stirring stuff up.
Oh, yeah.
You know, just keep it quiet. And that was the thing with the party. You know, I mean, even the it's just like with our breakfast program. You know,
they said that was the number one threat in the United States of America.
That's what he said. But I'm talking about in the black communities. I'm talking about these bourgeois, Reverend Lawson included.
Yeah. And Third Ward.
And you know, Reverend Lawson tried to stop the students from marching from TSU to the lunch counter. You know, and so when we were starting our breakfast program, we started a breakfast program here in Houston in a hole in the wall on Dowling Avenue, because we went to all the churches, because the Central Committee said all our breakfast programs were in churches, because he said that the black church was the most central place in the community. And so we went to all the churches in Third Ward and got turned down, including Reverend Lawson's Wheeler Avenue Baptist Church. And it wasn't until we moved our office to Fourth Ward and we approached Reverend Smith, who was head of the Mount Horeb Baptist Church in Fourth Ward, and we approached him, and he said yes. And it shocked the hell out of us. And then the thing about it was...
Is Reverend Smith, is he black too?
Yeah, Reverend Smith, it was in Fourth Ward.
Oh, it was Freemanstown, which is Midtown now.
So he's like 92 now, but he's still alive. But anyway, also so when, let's say, the Chronicle, it was the Chronicle or the Post, they did an article on our free breakfast program, and they interviewed these black pastors, and they all said, one of them said that Reverend Smith, Mount Horeb, had opened his church up to the devil.
Oh, man.
And we talking about feeding kids.
And
so, I mean, that's the problem we have in our own community.
I have a family member that, it's crazy, man. I have a family member when I came with the idea of, a lot of my family members, not just one, most of my family members, they didn't purchase my book because they said they believe in Jesus. And not even to try to figure out what's in my book or what's my ideology. I just feel like when you a strong black man or a strong organization, if you stand for something, if you stand for anything here in America, our race has been programmed to just throw that devil or crazy or Jesus or some type of ideology on you because their spirit has been broken.
Oh, it's been broken. But the thing about it is the mind is closed. I mean, you have to have an open mind.
Yeah.
So that's the thing about the Black Panther Party. People try to, they'll throw us in there with a black nationalism. We want black. We said all power to people because it's a world struggle. And it's, these capitalists have suppressed people of color around the world. So, if you look at the map of the world and you look at every country, whether it's in Asia, Africa, anywhere there's people of color,
we suppressed.
They suppressed. They took, and so it's not just a struggling here. It's not just it's
a world struggle.
It's a worldwide struggle.
It's a Pan-African struggle.
And that's the only way we're going to defeat them is through unity.
And that was Marcus Garvey's view. He wanted us to have a Pan-Africanist view, so we can. That's the only way we're gonna overcome is if we all work together. But it's so crazy when you become strong and you have that type of ideology and try to bring unison. People that's around you, and they just won't come together with you, and just because even that small strength in the numbers in the Black Panther Party, that was a small group of people. But just that small group of people was so big.
Yeah, well, that's what Huey used to say. Because he used to do, if you sat with Huey, Huey talked a lot of time.
You used to sit with Huey Newton? Huey Newton?
Yeah, I was Bobby Seale's aide.
Yes, sir.
I for Bobby Seale. Huey used to come in the house all the time.
Yes, sir.
But if you sat around, even somebody, a lot of times he talking parables, but like he said, just give me 12, just like Jesus just had 12 disciples. He said, just give me 12 strong, not just 12 but strong,
12 strong,
dedicated people,
and that's how I
then
feel
we
too.
can, you know,
And you can change the world with that.
We can do things just like us. Like you saying, comparing, probably at the height, Black Panther Party had maybe 5,000 members. We sold probably over 150,000 papers a week, and but the thing about it made an impact. That's why people still talk about.
How many kids did y'all feed?
Oh, it's thousands.
That's the real question.
How
many
kids? Or even just I'll go even. That's the program people know about. But just like with sickle cell anemia, a disease that affects black people, it was the Black Panther Party who made that a known entity, and not only made it known, we tested people for sickle cell. We went to apartment buildings. If we had rallies, we tested. We went all over, and then you get the bourgeois Negroes
that didn't.
They would say, well, why are they testing? There's no cure. But see, the thing about it, if you know about sickle cell, we not only test it, we counsel, because, like, say, if both partners have sickle cell, well, all their kids gonna have sickle cell.
Yeah.
But maybe one has sickle cell and the other doesn't. Well, it might be 1 out of 4 chance of your kid. So it was.
You had to do a study.
It was stats. So we would counsel people on that. But then the same organizations that said, well, why are they doing it? A year or two later, when they saw money in it, they opened up sickle cell anemia.
So they capitalized off of it.
Yeah, if it ain't no money, because that's all they bought anyway.
So how do you think us as a black community, how can we practice? Can we use the capitalism system for us to unionize, or is that impossible for us to do with the greed and jealousy and the hatred and the envy? You think can you think this community? Because my first thing, I want to open up a bookstore over here, and I want to do community good. I want to actually just take on the responsibility on doing it. But do you think me doing that, and because I might be a capitalist, me doing that, but I'm also providing the service.
I remember. Because I like sports, and I was watching whatever Smith is on First Take.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, well, I'm a capitalist. No, Negro, you're not a capitalist.
Yeah.
The 1% are capitalists.
Yeah.
You might support capitalism,
but
you're not a capitalist.
Yeah, I'm not a capitalist. But I'm not.
Because the definition of a capitalist is ones that own the means of production. And that's a capitalist. You might support capitalism. And at the same time, with your question, I mean, we all need to eat. We all need to, and there's nothing wrong with, but you got to give back.
Yeah. And that's how I feel like me opening up a bookstore. I'm giving back knowledge.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm trying to give back something that has a purpose. Yeah. I'm not out here. I'm not going to open up a liquor store or anything negative to the community.
Well, as an example, like I say, we don't care if you're black or white, but if you do something in our community, you need to give back to the community.
Yeah.
And that's what just like with the breakfast program, it was businesses. You didn't have to give money. It was a store right there by on Lyons and by the old E.O. Smith. He used to give 2 cases of milk. Some would give orange juice.
And that means a lot.
For the breakfast program. But we didn't care if you black or white, so I'm just like what you're talking about. I'm saying give back. It was a black guy in Oakland. His name was Bill Boyette, who owned the liquor store. And it wasn't no little mom and pop liquor store. It was a big liquor store. So he refused to support the program.
And he's selling liquor.
So we boycotted him. And I say boycott, we were out there every day, all day, with signs, don't support. And he damn near went out of business. The only way he stayed in business was all these other black liquor stores in California was sending him money every week. That's the only way he stayed in business.
Man, that's crazy.
Nobody was going to cross us. So finally, he had to give in. And they had a big press conference, him and Huey Newton, and him announcing that he was going to. But then 2 positive things came out of it. He said he's going to get in. But also, all those black liquor stores, they said, okay, well, why we don't form a group and buy as a group, so they compete with the bigger
organizations.
Right.
They unionized.
So they had started an organization.
They seen how you guys unionized and the power the people y'all had as a people.
Yeah.
And so they took that same example and unionized and galvanized themselves.
So that's one thing about the party. I mean, we didn't, and people don't realize we didn't get paid.
Yeah.
We were Panthers 24/7 year round. We didn't go to work from 9 to 5 and you get off at 5 and you're a Panther. That's why we could do things like we boycotted. We shut a Safeway down, store, a big grocery store. I'm talking about closed it because we boycotted in support of the United Farm Workers Movement. They closed that whole store down because we picketed and boycotted. Wasn't nobody going in there.
And you guys was y'all was supporting another movement, but that was just y'all example because it was power to all people.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they were press the farm workers. I met Cesar Chavez when I was Bobby Seale's aide. We went out to the field and I met. But I mean, they were. I mean, like the thing of number 4 on slavery. That's what that was with the farm workers. You know, they were basically slaves.
Yeah, but that's what and that's what they tried to do with the Hispanic community. They tried to replace because we was always the laborers. You know.
Yeah. Well, but with the farm workers, and so this is the thing about people. See, now they piss. You know, you have all these people come from the next one. But you the one started the whole thing. I'd agree. Because see, back then they were migrant workers. You know, they would come from the season
and just work,
and then they go back home.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but then many of them they get here and it's a better life. Their kids got educated.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's
or they have a baby here.
Yeah, right. So but this is something you created.
Y'all created this, and then now y'all trying to even still to this day.
Right.
Still to this day, they trying to use this immigration.
I was listening to this brother on the way over here, and he was interviewing this sister about human trafficking, but like the brother say, this country was founded on human trafficking.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Because they brought our people, enslaved our people, and brought them here. That's human trafficking.
And every law that they created, they broke when they founded this country.
Everything in their Bible, everything in their Bible, they broke.
Yeah, it's a big contradiction.
Yeah, it's a contradiction, and contradictions. That's what make up the world. But if you call them on their lies, like you said, it's a big contradiction. You know what I mean? Now it's just like in California, they passed a law, 3 strikes you out.
Oh yeah.
Mandatory, you got mandatory in life.
My cousin did 26 years because of that.
Yeah.
When they first established that, my cousin did in '93. He didn't get out to 2019.
Yeah, but some of them prominent white folks, relatives, or their friends got caught up in it, and they say, "Oh, wait a minute, this ain't," you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's like with anything, the drug problem, the police brutality problem. Black folks was talking about police brutality for years, but it wasn't until they started beating up the hippies, and killing those 4 kids up in Ohio. What about the 4 kids that they killed at Jackson State? Yeah, shot up the dormitory, or they shot up the dormitory at TSU. But when it happens to them, or with the drugs, all of a sudden, with this problem with the amphetamines and all that stuff. And
I was just about to talk about that.
Now, when it
was crack,
it was just crack in the neighborhood. Lock them up.
It was crack.
Even if they losing, just to use it, lock them up. But with them, they got a mental problem.
Yeah, it's mental health. It's an epidemic, and it's a crisis.
Right.
It's labeled different.
Right.
We was labeled crime and super predators and criminals and rapists and hide your kids and the world changed a lot from that. It's no more outside community. It's no more neighborhood community. It's no more elderly talking to it's no more even this interaction we got here.
Yeah.
A lot of old.
It's like when I grew up, everybody on the block knew everybody.
Yeah.
And they knew everybody's kids.
Yeah, and that's how I grew up too.
And someone on the block will discipline you if they saw you doing something wrong. And you better hope they didn't tell your parents, because you're going to get disciplined again when you got home.
And if you got a daddy, you better hope your daddy didn't find out.
That's where it was. Everybody knew everybody, and everybody looked out for everybody. But like you said, as things go on, we've gotten spoiled, and then our community's been dispersed. We're all over,
And it's all in my book.
Yeah, we're all over in Sugar Land, Woodlands, all over.
Humble, Katy.
Yeah, right.
And not only that, I feel like they used that money thing when it was more togetherness when it was a struggle. When we was forced to be in the community, we had to start businesses in those areas, in those black areas, and have to unionize because it was a struggle. And when it's a struggle, we have to stick together. But now we living in this comfort where you can stream everything and everything look like it's fine and dandy. And they use this money thing that we got these bourgeois Uncle. Now I ain't even call them Uncle Toms. The uppity class Negroes. They won't support the man that's still fighting. Because they use that money thing to divide us, to make the people that's working in those corporations think they better than the people that's still living here, that's in the struggle, or people that's still here that's even fighting. And I look at myself as somebody that I already have been successful in business, and I already own land, and I wrote a book and things like that. So I don't even have to be doing what I'm doing. So the people that look at me, that's even when I'm out selling my book, a lot of people look at me like, oh, I need to sell this book to be successful.
Right.
No, I'm doing this for a greater purpose. So and when they look at me like, oh, I'm not gonna support this book, or I'm not gonna do that, I don't really need you to. I'm doing this for a bigger purpose. But they use that money thing to divide us, to make you look like, oh, I'm better than this nigga.
Yeah.
I'm better.
One of the worst things I hate is when I'm around my bourgeois friends,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll look at somebody that's nice and they say, oh, they so ghetto.
Yeah.
Where the fuck you think your folks came from?
Yeah,
or your grandfolks come from.
Yeah.
Or they say, oh, they so country.
Why don't you teach them?
Where the hell you think? But my point is, where you forget where you come from.
Yeah, you forget where you come
You
from.
might have status to that, but it's from hard work of your parents, your grandparents, your ancestors.
Somebody put you
is
in
that
position.
why you have what you have. There's no such thing as a self-made man.
Yeah.
No, it's not. And people say, well, I'm no, bullcrap.
Yeah.
Somebody helped you along the way. If they might have just gave you a book of knowledge, or sit down with you and say, hey, I'll turn you on to this, or turn you on that. You got help from somebody along the way.
And people, that's what people don't understand. That's what my book is all about. I thank my father, I thank my mother, my coaches, my everybody that ever disciplined me. Even from the lessons, my grandfather was a multi-millionaire, probably worth the hundreds of $50 million. And when he died, my family didn't get anything. But I still thanked him because I learned the values of being an entrepreneur, owning land, being a businessman, all the intangibles on how to do it instead of just giving it to me. But still, all that is a part of what molds you to become what you are. You just not self-made. You have to. That's why I thank my ancestors on the cover of my book, and just even you. I'm thanking you. You my ancestor. You my elder. So all the people that followed up for me to get this energy to gravitate, to move forward towards the fight, and it comes from a past tense. Because everything, I look at everything as one. I look at the past, the present, and the future is all one. Everything is one circle. It's one life. So you have to have that energy, that knowledge, that history of your ancestors, to be in that present moment, to be strong in the present moment, to also to lead it to the future, to lead that power, that energy. Like me connecting with you, I'm taking this past rich history and this present day society, and I want to be able to take this to my kids and their kids, and keep this energy and this fight and this spirit going, and just this mindset, this knowledge out here in this present day.
Right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's important.
And I got some more questions for you. How did you become a revolutionary?
Well, like I tell people, I tell people to sign the time, but then a lot of times, a lot of things too is growing up my family. Like I said, my mother was a teacher and my father became a doctor, but he always stayed connected to the community. My mother always worked in the community, did things, the polling captain, or she was, my sister was a brownie. She was a brownie leader, and my father always, the first time I ever saw my father with tears in his eyes was when Martin Luther King was killed, and I never forget sitting there with him. And he kept saying over and over, why did they kill that man? Say he ain't never done nothing to nobody, and he had tears coming out his eyes. So I came from a caring family, not just of family, but of community. And then, like I said, the sign of the times. I was born in '52, segregation. Everything was white. Everything was white. You know what I mean? You couldn't, if you were black, you couldn't step on the University of Houston campus. If you went to the zoo, you couldn't go to Herman Park. And all my heroes were white. You know what I mean? And everything on TV, the Lone Ranger, and Tonto came to Simon, but everything was white. And then, you had the Civil Rights Movement and Malcolm, and and all the things were going on. And in high school, like in high school, we walked out the whole campus. And school I went to was like 80% white, but they supported us. We walked out in support of.
What high school was this?
This is Hamilton High School in Los Angeles.
Oh, okay.
And we walked out in support of Fremont High School, which was all black. And they walked out because of the conditions of the school. You know, the building, the books, the whole, you know. And so we walked out in support of them. But also we had our own demands. We wanted a black student union. We wanted to eliminate the dress code, where we could wear beards and we could wear shorts, we could wear sandals, where the girls could wear, you know, different things that weren't allowed. You know, the skirts had to be down to your knees or whatever. You know, so we added all that to that, and we won. I mean, it was 2 days. The second day we took over the administration building, and that's when they called the police. And,
so it started young for you, huh?
Yeah, and so then we walked out the second time on Martin Luther King's birthday.
What year was this?
This was right after he was probably the year after he was assassinated.
Okay.
And you know, we wanted to. This is in the 60s. I graduated from high school in '70, and we wanted it to be no school. And we marched out. And I never forget the principal was this white guy, Mr. Sanders. You know, a lot of teachers, I don't remember their names, but I remember him. He was a white guy with red hair, and he came out and he was crying. He had tears in his eyes. He was begging us, please,
Don't do it.
Please come back in school. So we told him, no, we won't. So then finally he said, well, I'll tell you what we'll do. If y'all would just come back in the auditorium, we'll have a program for Martin Luther King. And so we agreed to that.
Wow.
You know, so all these things led me to that. Then when I got my first year in college, I only stayed in college 1 year because I joined the party after my freshman year. I went to Cal State Northridge, which is in the San Fernando Valley, right outside of Los Angeles. And like I said, we were, you know, political then, and two of my friends were going to a Black Panther Party political education class in L.A. and asked me if I wanted to come. I said, yeah. So I went, and, you know, had the class, and I remember after class they asked if we wanted to eat. You know, they had spaghetti, and we first we told them no, because, you know, I mean, I'm saying these brothers are in the struggle, and they insisted, so we ate. So I started selling the Black Panther Party newspaper on weekends. When I left school with a brother named James Pons, we would go downtown Los Angeles and sell the paper. And so I was moving in that direction, but really what pushed me over the wall was I was at home one weekend, and my mother comes into my bedroom, and she says, Ricky, that's my name is John Richard Crear. My family called me Ricky from the Richard. And she said, Ricky, it's two white guys in the living room. They're from the FBI. They want to talk to you.
Dang.
And so I'm like,
what year was this?
This is probably 1970. And I'm like, Mama, stop playing with me. Don't play with me like that. And she said, no, I'm serious. She says, two white guys in there. They're from the FBI. They want to talk to you. And all kinds of shit started running through my mind. I'm like, damn, maybe they heard me on the phone talking about smoking weed or, you know, so I didn't ever think about the Panther Party, you know, because I wasn't a member of the Panther Party.
Yeah, you were just affiliated.
So, yeah.
That's how hard they was watching them,
yeah,
though.
COINTELPRO. And they probably had got what they probably had done because, see, I would use my stepfather's car to go pick up James, and we go sell the paper. So they probably had somebody got that license number. But then I don't know how they do that. My name, how to.
They knew it was you.
The car wasn't in my name.
Man, they got some.
And so, anyway, so I go in and sit down there. They are two white guys in black suits, like the Men in Black, you know, and they had the leather badges, flash their badges. And so the first question they asked me was, I remember the Black Panther Party, and I told them no. And so then they had this big binder. They opened it up, and it was all kind of pictures, and they were like, well, do you know this person? Do you know that person? Do you know this person? So my mother finally stopped them. That's what made me real proud of my mother. She stopped them. She said, y'all asking all these questions. She said, I got a question for y'all. And they said, okay. She said, well, J. Edgar Hoover says the Black Panther Party is the greatest threat to the internal security of the United States. in the history of the United States. She said, what about the mafia? So then they kind of backed up.
That was a good question.
So they started going into the little salt and pepper thing. One of them said, well, ma'am, Black Panther Party do a lot of good things. They got a free breakfast program for kids, and they got free medical clinics. And then the other one, he said, yeah, but when they start talking about that violence, that's the thing. So anyway, when they were leaving, and this would really push me over the edge, when they were leaving, we stopped at the door, and one of them said, well, John, if you just stay in school, you get out of school, get you a good job, you'll never hear from us again.
Just basically be good, nigga.
I'm right. So I'm thinking in my mind, these motherfuckers telling me if I walk this straight and path,
we not gonna come for your ass.
Yeah. So that really kind of pushed me over the edge. That really made me want to join the party.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So after you joined the party, for the people that don't know, how did you get back to Houston? Because this was all in Los Angeles, right?
Right.
How did you get back to Houston and join the People's Party? And then for those who also don't know, how did you get back with Carl? First of all, who is Carl Hampton, for the people who don't know? Okay. And how did you get back connected with Carl Hampton and the People's Party too?
Yeah, well, see, Carl Hampton, again, like I said, he was from Houston. He was born in Pleasantville.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the early members, like I say, were from Pleasantville. You had James Aaron, Steve Edwards from Pleasantville. Then you had also people from Clinton Park, which was right. If you go now, you'd have to cross 610, but this, 610 wasn't there. It was just another neighborhood right there. So you had Claude Frost and several other people came from Clinton Park.
So was Clinton Park, was that a suburb of Fifth Ward, just like Pleasantville was, but it was a nicer park?
It was nice. No, well, Clinton Park was more like a country. It was it's like Acres Homes.
It was country.
Yeah, it was more like if you go to Acres Homes, people had, like my grandfather. My grandfather lived in Clinton Park. I mean, he had a duck pond in the backyard, and he had a big vegetable garden. They used to burn trash and the whole thing. So it was poorer than Pleasantville.
Mm-hmm.
Pleasantville was where a lot of your teachers and postmen
and doctors and physicians.
What's his name? Justin Robinson lived in Pleasantville, who became a city councilman. But so then Carl was a musician, and him and his band.
What kind of musician?
He played either the saxophone or but him and his brother were musicians. In fact, if you go to TSU and look in the archives, his music is archived there at TSU. But Carl was traveling the country with his band, and they went to L.A. That's when he first came in contact with the party. He met some people there. And then when he went to Oakland, he started doing community work while he was up there. And so he asked them, could he form a chapter of Black Panther Party in Houston? But at the time, the party was expanding so fast. They had over 40 chapters, 5,000 members, and they told them no. Not at that point. They said maybe at a later point they will, but at that point they'd stop opening up new chapters. So Carl was so determined. He came back, and he got him a job at the old Sears. At that time, it was Sears and Roebuck's on Wheeler.
Yeah, right there.
In San Jacinto.
Oh yeah.
As a dishwasher, because they had a lunch counter.
Mm-hmm.
He got an apartment around the corner on La Branch.
Mm-hmm.
And he started organizing. Mm-hmm. He would still go back there.
Did he take the money from his job and invest it into the organization?
Right, into the organization. And he would go back out to Pleasantville and organize. And so, with that money, he opened up an office and opened up an organization. He called it People's Party 2.
Right, and it was right on Darling, right?
Yeah, it was on Darling and 2M.
Mm-hmm.
And right across the street from Emancipation Park.
Right. Was it right by where Wolf's Jewelry Store is at?
Yeah, it was right on the corner. It was right across from Emancipation Park.
Yeah, right. Is with a Soul Food Vegan?
Our second office, no, it wasn't on that side. It was right across.
From right there on that corner.
It was on the corner.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just an empty lot now, huh?
Yeah, it's an empty lot. Yeah. In fact, if you go there, you have to get out the car and look on the sidewalk. These brothers here, I forget the name, but they're artists. It's a bronze plaque in the sidewalk
Okay.
commemorating Carl and People's Party too.
Yeah, I gotta go over that.
Our second office was right across the street from Wolf's.
Yeah.
And you had Wolf's, you had the East Texas Cafe.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, he created People's Party 2. He called it People's Party 2 because he said Black Panther Party was the number one party, was the vanguard party.
Mm-hmm.
So his was People's Parties too. But they followed all the rules and regulations of the Black Panther Party, followed the 10-point platforming program, and sold the Black Panther Party newspaper. So basically it was, like I said, when I got there, I was looking for it. I didn't know Carl. I came a year after Carl there. But when I got there, they had moved to the second office, and it was in the sign. Like I said, I was looking for a Black Panther Party office, but the reason I knew to stop there because it said People's Party 2, but it was Panthers on both sides of the sign. Mm-hmm. So, so anyway, he started People's Party 2. They sold papers, and the incident on the island happened when he was coming back to the office and got to the office, and some brothers selling the newspaper.
How quick did he become a threat? Because I don't know. I want to hear that story too. But how quickly, from when he started People's Party 2, how quickly did the incident? How quickly did it take for?
Probably 3 months.
That quick.
After he, and really, because I was telling James said they really didn't start really looking at him until they started selling the Panther paper. Mm-hmm. That's when they really...
When they started getting connected themselves with the Black Panthers.
Well, they were already connected, but I'm saying when they started publicly selling the Panther paper, that's when, I guess, police or whatever realized, hey, these are Panthers. Mm-hmm. And so, like, he was coming up to the office, and the brother was selling the Panther paper, and his two policemen were harassing him. And so Carl, got out the car, and he confronted the police and asked them, what's going on? What's the problem? So he had a .45 strapped to his chest, and the police said, well, what are you doing with that gun? And Carl told him, well, I have the constitutional right to bear arms, and I'm in my right to carry this weapon. So the police started walking toward him. He told them, stop, don't come no closer. So they drew their weapon, but he was faster to the draw, and he had them beat it. So they backed up into the office. Of course, they called for backup, but they didn't realize people in the community, the word spread real fast, and people came and stood all in front of the office and said, y'all not, going to do anything. And so for about a week, it was that from 2M to McGowan, there was no police presence. And people from all over the city came from Sunnyside.
Y'all don't think y'all could have tried to sneak him out of there? While, or he just didn't want to go?
No, Carl said he wasn't. They won't have to come get him. In fact, Bobby Caldwell, who I mentioned, Bobby Caldwell had worked out a deal where he had worked out a bond thing, but Carl felt that if he went to jail, they were going to kill him, which they eventually did anyway. But so people from all over the city came with guns.
And
Sunnyside, Acreage Homes, Pleasantville, Clinton Park, Fifth Ward, and so we had a large presence of black people with guns on that block.
So they didn't even police presence then.
No, but they were planning.
They was planning the whole time.
In fact, they had coordinated with the police in New Orleans because maybe a week before that, or a short time before that, police had raided the Panthers' office at the Desiree Projects in New Orleans. So when they came, and they had, like I said, these Negroes cooperated with them, because plus a lot of the people, like the dope dealers and the pimps, they was pissed. Because it shut that, because that part of Dialing, that was happening.
That was, yeah.
They were pissed because it shut their shit down. Mm-hmm. And so, because across the street, you had the East Texas Cafe. I forget the name of the owner, but see, if you went in the alley back there, you could buy drugs on Sundays, it's bootleg liquor.
Yeah, you shut him down.
And then across the street was St. John's Church. That's where the police went on
top of the building,
Yeah, so they had to cooperate with them. So how did they get up there?
The church had to cooperate.
Oh yeah, how did the police get up there on the roof?
And it's crazy because I'm not trying to go too much off a topic, but my personal opinion is that the black church in the United States of America is against the. It's some good people out here. You know, Martin Luther King. They tried their best, but it's a lot of bourgeois Negroes in the black church that is against the fight. They are not for the fight. They are completely on the other side. They taking that tax-free check at the end of the year for their property, and they are succumbing and they are siding with the man. Do you think that's a valid opinion?
Yeah, well, like I said, that's what happened there. Or like I said, that's what happened with the breakfast program that I spoke of earlier.
Mm-hmm.
None of them would allow us to sell. I mean, not sell, but to feed kids. I mean, and even one of them had the audacity to call the pastor that allowed us, saying that he let the devil in the church.
Yeah, called y'all the devil.
Yeah, so,
feeding kids.
Yeah, feeding kids. So, so at that time, the call, they were having a rally at Emancipation Park, and these people, I think it was some sisters, came and said it was some white men up on the roof of the church.
They could see him. Was they dressed in police uniform or was they?
No, they were snipers, and it was a reporter. See, the reporter had an interview called. He was the spotter. He had an interview called a few days before that. So
they came dressed as reporters, but they were snipers.
No. It was one reporter.
Mm.
No, I don't know how they were dressed, but they didn't have no uniforms on.
Mm.
I'm saying it was one reporter who had an interview call a couple of days before that, so he knew what Carl looked like. Mm-hmm. So he was a spotter. Mm-hmm. So they were after Carl, mm-hmm. You know. So he pointed him out. So when Carl came down the street to investigate, because sisters told him and this white guy Barty Hale, who's from the John Brown Revolutionary Society, he's with Carl. And a couple of them. Well, when Carl and him crossed the street, right by the place you mentioned, the Wolves. There was a recording of this. I mean, we can't find it, but
recordings
of them on the roof, and
you said they was recording them, but you can't find it.
Yeah, they play it on the radio every year. Cause see, that's what a lot of these black men they don't do it. KYK and KSOH every year they would mark the anniversary of Carl Hampton's assassination, mm-hmm. and they had a recording, and on the recording, you could hear the reporter said, "There you go, that's him right there." And then you hear these shots. And then one of them say that, "Did you get him?" And they say, "Yeah, we got that nigga." And so
That was the reporter saying that?
No.
Oh, that was the sniper?
That was probably one of the snipers. I don't know who, cause like I said, it wasn't no picture, it was just recording.
Yeah.
But anyway, they shot Carl, they shot Barty in the arm. He survived. Carl survived the initial shooting, and there's a sister, her name was Sophia, and she was at the Volkswagen. She wasn't affiliated with the party, nothing. She drove up and put Carl in the car and took him to the hospital. And he died probably about 1 o'clock the next morning or so. And
what hospital did he end up dying at?
I'm not sure. I forget that. But see, it was all planned because blocks away from there, they had hundreds of policemen in these buses.
Oh man!
And they just
waiting to
converge. Mickey Leland, Congressman Mickey Leland, he went to jail that night because mm-hmm. him and Carl were very close. Mm-hmm. I mean, Carl affected a lot of people, but they came and they arrested probably about 60 people. Anybody that was in the area.
Anybody that looked like they was gonna step up.
They arrested Mickey Leland. Like I say, Congressman Mickey Leland. He came down there to see what's going on. They arrested him and anybody that came down there. So it was all planned and it was set up. But the organization survived. I mean, it was shaken up for a while, but it survived.
How do you feel? Do you think that Houston and society today really honors Carl Hampton or in the Black Panther Party? Do you think they give it?
Some people, but not as much as they should be.
Not as much as they should be.
I called out all the black media last year because I said y'all didn't even mention it because it was July 26th. Mm-hmm. And then people start calling me, then somebody 4 times put article in a week later after I said that, but y'all should be doing that.
Y'all should be on top of it.
Anyway.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But that's one of the problems we have now. They'll talk about Jay-Z and Beyonce.
Yeah, like they doing something for
this other shit.
Yeah.
But what about the black history? Keeping our people. They ought to have a section just on black history in Houston.
Yeah.
People that stepped out. It's like I say, Bobby Caldwell, our attorney. He just passed, and I'm on people about that because that man,
Tell some people who Bobby Caldwell is because you was telling me earlier.
Yeah, mostly pro bono. He took these cases. Bobby was from Dallas, And Bobby was afflicted with polio in childhood at around 3 years old. So he walked with a limp, but he went to TSU, graduated, and he started practicing law here in Houston. And like he told me, we were real close because he was our lawyer. And we think about the party, we don't forget, you know. And so, in fact, I sat down with him a little bit over a month ago. But he was telling me how, first, I was going to tell you a story about his mother, because I told him, I said, I see where you get that fight from. Because his mother in Dallas worked for this rich white family, and so she was in the kitchen. They were preparing a meal to her and this other sister. So the white woman comes in there and tells them that she come in there with a baby, said the diaper's sore, the diaper needs changed. So the other sister said, okay, yeah, I'm going to come in there and get it. So she was trying to finish up what she was doing. The white lady come back in there and slapped her and told her, didn't I tell you the baby that Bobby Caldwell's mama had this big old metal spoon and popped the white woman upside the head. And they took her to jail. The white man got out, but he told me she couldn't come back there more. And I told Bobby, I see where you get your fire from. But he was telling me how hard it was to be a black lawyer back then, because all the judges were white, all the juries were white, all the prosecutors were white. And so it was hard. He said, but he won some, and he lost some. And he said after he'd been practicing about 2 years as judge, in fact, it's a book coming out about him. It'll be released on the 11th of February. Be available. It's called The People's Lawyer. That's the name that the Panther Party gave him. People's Lawyer, Bobby Caldwell. But anyway, he was saying how this one judge even used the word nigger in the courtroom. You know, he called his friend, yeah, that nigger there need to, you know, or whatever. So you see how hard it was. So he said one day this judge came up to him after one of the courtroom sessions, and he said, man, you a damn good lawyer. He said, you know, I tell you what, you'd like to come have a cup of coffee with me? And so Bobby told him, he said, well, I was wondering what took you so long to ask me. He said, but no, I don't want to sit down with you. I don't want to have no coffee.
He was the real deal.
Oh, he was Bobby, man.
He was stand up. He stood for something.
Up. So the first case he took up was in this article I was telling you, they said in this article he was one of the only lawyers in Houston that would stand up for militants, as they called us back in the day. But his first case was the Texas Southern Five. Texas Southern Five was that the students at TSU, black institution, they were protesting against the conditions of the school. The food, they said, was horrible. The living conditions were horrible. And the school called the police on them. And the police ended up shooting up the male dormitory.
Because they protested.
Up to 5,000, but they called it a riot.
Oh, my God.
Up to 5,000 rounds.
5,000?
One student was killed, one police was killed, and they charged these 5 students with killing the policeman. So Bobby took up the case. But the thing about it is the only cartridges they fired came from 30 caliber pistols, which the police used at that time. And so, you know, it's finally proved that that policeman was killed by friendly fire, probably a ricochet bullet or something. So the brothers got off. He took up the case of students from TSU that marched from the campus to the wine gardens on Alameda. It's where the post office is on Alameda right now. That used to be a wine garden grocery store. And they had a lunch counter, and they had sat on a lunch counter. They got arrested. Bobby took up their case. He took up the case of Leotis Johnson, who was a student activist at TSU, who got set up. The police had an informant that he was at a little gathering, it wasn't a big party, it was a small gathering, and the guy gave him a joint, one marijuana cigarette, and they arrested him, charged him with possession. He was convicted, and he was sentenced to 30 years in prison for one joint.
Crazy.
So Bobby took up his appeal and won, got him out of prison. And then he represented People's Party 2 and the Black Panther Party in many cases.
And,
and most stuff he was pro bono. And the case I always like to bring up is Charles Boko Freeman, who was in front of the office, and he had the hood of the car up. Well, it's I don't know if it's still on the books, but it was the ordinance. City ordinance said that you couldn't work on a car on the street unless it was an emergency, like changing a flat or something like that. So anyway, they arrested him for that. So when they got down to the police station, they say that when they searched him, they found a box of marijuana on him again. They began to supplant marijuana on him again. So we had to go. I mean, we were worried. We thought, man, because they wanted to give him 15 years in a day because at that time, I don't know if it's still the same now, if you get anything over 15 years, you couldn't appeal it to the state court. You had to go higher. And so anyway, and like I say, Bobby was a slight man. He had polio. He had a limp on his right leg, and he had his arm. And so he wasn't somebody you think, oh, this is a bad motherfucker.
He wasn't physically intimidating, but he was short.
Bad motherfucker, yeah.
Short mind.
He had this policeman on the stand, and so he asked the policeman, he said, well, isn't it standard police procedure that when you arrest a person, before you put them in the car, that you search that person? So the policeman said, yeah. He said, yeah, but we were in front of the Panther's office, and we were scared. Yeah,
they always use fear.
So we just patted him down, and then when we got him down to the police station, we found a box of marijuana. So then Bobby asked him, okay, so you say you saw him working on the engine? And the police said, yeah. He said, well, was he working on the engine in the front of the car, or was it in the back of the car? He said, and the police said, no, it was in the front of the car. He had the hood up in front of the car. So then Bobby said, well, you mean to tell me this is the only Fiat made in the world with the engine in the front?
Oh, he was working on a Fiat.
Right. The engine is in the back.
Oh, got him.
So the police would say, yeah. The police said, yeah. The whole courtroom started laughing, even the jury, because Bobby got him.
Got him.
Because that's what I'm saying. He wasn't intimidated, but he was like a Columbo.
Yeah.
He go,
Yeah.
Before you know it, you're looking at his right hand. Before you know it, he'll knock you out
with the left.
Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so he got acquitted.
Yeah.
And so he represented us in several trials, and that's what we always.
Did they never try to assassinate or kill his character or do anything to him?
No, they hated Bobby, but like I said, Bobby didn't take no crap. That's what we were telling last time. Like I said, last time we sat down and talked. It was me and James Aaron, like I said, who became the chairman of the People's Party 2 after Carl assassinated, and like. James told him, he said, Bobby, we love you. There's a lot of people love you, but you had a lot of people that hated you.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the judges, all the prosecutors, all the police.
Man, they hated you.
Your ass.
Now they hate you.
Yeah, it's like, well, who's handling, like you watch the TV, they say, well, who's handling the case? They say, oh, it's Bobby Carr. Oh, shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He was like Johnny Cochran.
Yeah, you're right, he was. And he like I say, he did most of the stuff.
Before Johnny Cochran.
And he didn't care. He lived a humble life. He could have had a very, very lucrative thing and lived in one of them big houses on McGregor and drove. That wasn't Bobby. Bobby had a nice house, a single-story house like this, but he wasn't flamboyant. He cared about people. I mean, you sat there and you talked with him.
He was genuine.
Even he was 85 when he passed, and we go there. We sit there and talk to him, and we start talking about our people and the struggle. His eyes would light up.
Yeah. Even as an old man.
Yeah, as an old man. I mean, his eyes would look like he had a twinkle in his eyes. He said, man, them motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't take no crap.
Yeah.
And
it's crazy because it's just, it really be a dwindling. I remember when I first met you, and I met you at the Kwanzaa event when I was out selling my book. Mm-hmm. You told me I say, man, because I asked him who was out there fighting with you, and he said it was really the people that be the people in the hood, the people that be on the streets, the corner, the thugs.
Well, see, that's the thing about it. Like I said, when we talked earlier, we had people that were but we recruited the people on the street. So we as my son, the lumping proletarian, the thieves and because they'll fight.
They'll fight with you.
They real.
They just need some. They just need a cause to stand for.
Yeah, but and you give them confidence, and then they, because they not fake like a lot of these bourgeois. They tell you, oh, anything you need, and then you call them, and they won't even hit you. Oh well, man, you called me at a bad time.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Our brothers and sisters, man, because just needed direction.
They just needed direction. They just
You know.
they needed cause. They
But,
just needed a cause.
Yeah, they'll stand up and they'll you know, it's just like in Fort Ward. I mean, 'cause the police, man, I went to jail about 13 times in 1 year here in Houston because what they would do, just like they did with Charles when I'm talking about him working on the car.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's a Class C misdemeanor. What do? You give them a ticket.
Mm-hmm.
But see, what they used to do with us, one thing they put us over on bullshit, you know, say you didn't do this or you did that. But then they wouldn't let you sign the ticket until you got to jail.
Man.
And then you had to pay to get out.
So they got you regardless.
So what they were trying to do, if one thing, it drains your funds because you got to pay to get. Plus, they're trying to mess with your head, you know. And I remember one time in Fort Ward, that's one thing. One of the important things with the program was it brought us close, the people closer to us, so they could see who we really were. And once people met us, they said, "Man, these ones they talking about, thugs and killers and all that.
These good people.
They just like us,
Yeah.
you know, which we are. We had mothers, fathers, cousins." So I remember it was an incident in Fort Ward because we used to count the police going by the office, and then like we said, okay, well, one just passed by, come on, let's go. And so we got in the car and we saw him down the street, you know, and he was going straight down the street. So we made a right. Came around, next thing we know, they pulling us over.
Right, just like that.
Get out the car on both sides with shotguns, aimed at the car. And they said, you know, over the line, we want you to get out of the car one by one. Driver, get out. That was me. So anyway, people came out the house and they were watching the people. Like, y'all go back in the house. People were like, no, we ain't going nowhere. We want to see what you're gonna do now. And so by the time they got us down to the police station, the press was there.
Already, because the community was involved.
The press was there. They opened that. They opened that elevator door, and all the press was there.
Yeah.
All the news papers, the TV stations, they were all right there. So they took us upstairs to they call it it was the intelligence division.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the guy sitting behind the desk, and he apologized. He talking about, well, you know, the officers pulled you, they didn't know who y'all were. You know, well, what the fuck they got out with shotguns for?
They knew exactly who
you know what I mean?
They wasn't expecting the reaction.
Right.
They wasn't expecting
That's what I'm saying. The people, you know, you got to have the support of people.
The support of the people.
In order to, that's what they fear.
And that's what they fear.
Yeah.
So I got another question. Do you think that it was all worth it? Everything that y'all did? Because there was a lot of people that died. A lot of people went to jail. A lot of people had to move into exile and leave the country. Do you think everything that y'all stood for?
Oh, yeah, it worked because it, believe me, it changed a lot of things. And then the thing about the Panther Party, people are still talking about it today.
And it affected me.
People still want to emulate. And I was reading an article by this guy, he's a professor at Cornell or something. He said the difference between the Panther Party and all the different organizations back there was that the Panther Party was fighting not just to, you know, smooth shit over and get mad. We was fighting to change the whole damn system.
Yeah.
You know, and until that happens, it's like all the crime out here today. Until there's economic equality in this country, you're going to have all these robbings and killings, and because people ain't got, you know, we live in a society where, like you know, 1% of the people
got all the money
last year made twice as much as the rest of the 99% last year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You know, we live in a country where a motherfucker got $300 billion and there's thousands of people living in the street. You know, that's a contradiction right there.
A contradiction.
You know,
and then act like he do humane work.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they get a little bitty. You know, somebody got a $300 billion and they give $1 million. And oh wait, he gave $1 million. That ain't nothing.
They gave $1 million to Red Cross.
That's me give him $10.
Give $1 million to the Nation of Islam.
Yeah, but I'm saying, but my point is, that's like me giving $10.
Yeah, it is.
You know what I mean?
But they don't even get that $10.
People look at it. They look at $1 million. Oh, he did. You know, no, that ain't nothing.
That's nothing.
You know, and the thing about it, it's like I was mentioning the homeless. I remember Erica Huggins and myself because at one point in Oakland, I was the head of photography for the newspaper. Erica Huggins worked on the newspaper, and somebody came to the office from San Francisco, and they said it elderly black guy living in the car on this lot. And we were like, what? And so they said, well, I don't know the exact street, but I know the area. So we went around there and we went block to block. And sure enough, we came up and it was a Volkswagen there and it was an elderly black guy living in the car. We talked to him, and Eric asked him how come he wasn't getting Social Security. He said they told him he couldn't get it because he didn't have a permanent address. I mean, anyway, we helped him out. But my point is this: we were shocked. Mm-hmm. This was just one black person living in. Now it's thousands. Mm-hmm. So stuff ain't getting better.
It was one black person back then,
and we were shocked. I mean, we were like, "Oh my God!"
And now LA is just the whole city turning into Skid Row.
Yeah, LA. Anyway, you go to Las Vegas,
downtown Houston.
Yeah, anywhere it's
homelessness.
That's what I'm saying. It's a big contradiction. We're supposed to live in the most
richest society
in the world.
But I think it's at the same time, it's the system they created. It created the mindset within the people that they call themselves Americans here. Americans here have a mindset. Like in the times you came up in, even when I was young growing up over here in Cashmere and Fifth Ward, it was a way greater sense of community where people in the community looked out for each other. Your neighbors knew you.
But the thing about, like I said, until this economic equality, because the thing about it is just like you get people that look down on the homeless or look down on, well, you need to get a job. Oh, well, get a job making $7 an hour?
Yeah, and waste my time?
That ain't going to pay for shit.
Yeah.
I know people, you probably know people got 2 jobs.
Yeah.
And they still struggling. I see it. So until there's some economic equality in this country, we're gonna have homeless. We're gonna have high crime. The whole thing. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Until you can pay a living wage, where people could pay their rent. Because people that got money, they don't worry about their light bill.
Yeah,
they
things
don't worry
like
about
that.
Their mortgage, because the house probably paid for. They don't worry about a car note, because they probably pay cash for that. But the average American worry about this. A lot of the homeless had jobs and had less families that's homeless. Mm-hmm.
It is. So I see families. I see women with children on the corner all the time.
Yeah, it's families. And I see. I mean, just like when I see sisters up, and people complain because we talk about white privilege, but it's a lot of black privilege too.
It is.
And like I remember years ago going on the street, and I saw this sister with about 4 or 5 kids, and she got a basket full of clothes, probably coming from the laundromat, And as I said, man, I used to complain about my car breakdown. I got it cost this much, but at least I got a car.
Yeah,
and I got the money to get it fixed.
It's always it's always somebody in the worst condition.
Yeah,
should be grateful.
So, but the thing about it is, people don't give a damn about
the next man,
woman, and they'll give. It's just like I remember one time I went to, and I'm not a religious person, but I went to a midnight service at St. John's downtown. Mm-hmm. Pastor Woody Raps, and this guy had a poem, and the name of the poem was "Will He Roll Up the Window on You?" Mm-hmm. And basically the poem was talking about how people, when they see somebody holding for, they'll roll the window up, whatever, and his point was that even that person, what does $1 mean to you? Mm-hmm. Or a quarter or $2.
And you should.
So his point is saying, okay, when you get to them pearly gates, will God roll the window up on you? Mm-hmm. Because how you treat people.
I don't know if you would listen to music or anything. It's a song called "How Much a Dollar Costs" by Kendrick Lamar. You should listen to that song. That whole song is like that poem. Mm-hmm. He rapping and he was rapping. And it was a homeless man. It was the situation. The homeless man came up to him and he was asking him for some money. And the homeless man and he looking at the homeless man, and Kendrick Lamar told him, "No, you can't have no money from me." But the homeless man kept staring at him. So Kendrick Lamar said he decided to walk up to the homeless man and ask him, like, "Why are you staring at me like that just because you asked him for some money?" He was basically telling him, it's not my responsibility to pay your bills and look out for you because you homeless. Mm-hmm. And the whole time, who that homeless man was God.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
And when he figured out that he was rapping to God, it changed his whole perspective.
Yeah, I was looking at this thing the other day that I shared some years ago on Facebook, but it's Louis Armstrong, and he made the statement back in the 60s, and he was saying that if Jesus was black, these white folks would beat the shit out of him because he was black.
Well, that's what happened.
You know, so
That's what happened in their story. But I'm not. I don't believe. I feel like me and you both like. I have a spirit of taking action and fighting. I get out here and do the fighting if need be. But I think when you go out here and you make that and you live that type of life, you understand that it takes action, not a book, not religion.
But it's like, and you know, when I'm famous, I keep with me, you know, Fannie Lou Hamer. You know, like she said, you know, you can get on your knees and pray all you want, but until you get up off your knees and do something, ain't nothing gonna change.
Ain't nothing gonna change.
You know, and that's, you know, it's people's mentality is so fixated on
religion.
It's like even in sports, you know, they win a game. God was.
I mean, I talk
all the atrocities happening in the world, and God got the time
to
help
do you on
win.
sports.
Yeah. Come on now, what kind of?
I talk about even in my book. I talk about in my book how the first slave ship ever that came to America was named Jesus.
Right.
The first slave ship ever was named Jesus. I talk about even I was looking up some new research. Even when slaves first came to Houston, when they was coming into Galveston Port, it's a telegram in like 1852 from the Houston Chronicle or Houston Press. And that telegram with the thing they wanted to steal slaves imported coming in from Cuba, get them to Texas because Texas wasn't a part of America at this time. They was just their own Republic of Texas. Cool. Yeah. They wanted to get them, and the first thing they wanted to do was make them good Christians. Yeah, they said they was talking about taking these heathens and making them good Christians. But back to your point, I'm asking you two more questions because I know you told me you only got an hour. Yeah. But these last two questions, I know you told me earlier America has a good way of capitalizing things, and I was asking you earlier in my living room, what do you think about America taking this Black Panther image? Because if you Google on your phone, anybody listening to this, if you Google Black Panther, if you just Google the words Black Panther, you're not going to see Huey Newton, Bobby Seale, Coy Hampton, Fred Hampton. You're not going to see Geronimo Pratt or any of these great fighters. You're not going to see you're going to see a movie. You're going to see a cartoon movie. So what do you think? How do you feel about them capitalizing you guys great struggle, you guys great fight, all this?
Well, the thing about the movie, one thing, and you know, when the first one you had all these scholars, but the thing about that, see, I believe in dialectics and materialism. Mm-hmm. And in dialectics and materialism, it says the positive and negative to everything. Mm-hmm. And I think the positive thing about that movie is it gives black kids a positive image of their black heroes.
Yeah, black heroes.
Because all the other heroes are white.
White, yeah.
You know, I didn't have no black heroes when I was, like I said, my heroes when I was little was Alexander the Great, Sam Houston, you know, Superman.
And Sam Houston owned slaves.
Yeah, but that was my hero because I had 2 books as a kid on Sam Houston because that's what you were taught, you know. So to me, that's the positive thing, and it wasn't made. I mean, some adults are still into the, you know, the fantasy stuff.
Yeah.
I don't watch none.
Yeah,
on TV myself, but to me, it's a positive image for black children. Yeah, it's not meant to be, and it's fantasy. It's not meant to be historical or it's a fantasy, just like any other fantasy thing. You know, it's not taking the, you know, like I said, you know, you had scholars. Well, you know, the movie, and they had the CIA. One thing it wasn't made for. It's even like a lot of the movies, positive movies on the party. Like I don't know if you ever seen. If you haven't seen it, it's called the Black Panther Party, the Vanguard of the Revolution. It's called the Black Panther Party.
Vanguard of the Revolution. Was it the one made like in the 60s and 70s, or it's recent?
It was made recently. It was.
I think I've seen it.
It was sold out around the world. It was made by the same guy that made Selma, Nelson, Stanley Nelson. In fact, he won a MacArthur Award. But even in that, you know, you have or anything that come out of the party, you'll have comments say, well, they didn't show that. But the thing about it wasn't made for you. We lived that.
Yeah, lived that.
It's made for, and even if it might have some negatives, it's to get people thinking, it's just like my barber. When Judas and the Black Messiah came out about Fred Hampton and the snitch. Not a snitch, he was a member of the party.
He was really a member of the party.
And my barber watched it. My barber called me, said he never even knew anything about Fred Hampton. He said, but now I'm gonna do my research.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the positive thing about a lot of things, and then people can find out. You know, he didn't know anything, or well, I was part of this panel thing, and my cousin, her husband came. And my cousin knew all about it because they used to come down to the office, but her husband, like, I didn't know all that stuff about the Panther Party.
Mm-hmm.
But now I'm gonna do my research, and I'm gonna start. He started digging it. Man, I just read this about it. So that's the positive thing about it. You know?
And they get to see the things that you actually really live.
Yeah, and see, like I say, dialectics is like that's what we used to say. Like Huey would say that power is the ability to define a phenomenon and make that phenomenon work in the direction you want it to.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a positive, negative, everything. You got to concentrate on the positive.
Mm-hmm.
You got to push, in anything. It's positive, negative, and our relationships with each other, and whether it's marriage or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to try to keep the positive and
to outweigh
keep
the negative.
Right.
And my last and final question is, me being who I am, I'm a young author. I'm an entrepreneur. I know knowledge of self. I don't know everything. I'm still learning. And I have some real estate now, and I'm trying to do the right thing. But I just wanted to ask you, what can I do to continue this greater cause, this greater fight, this greater struggle to overcome, overtake, and overthrow?
The main thing you can do is keep pushing and keep struggling, because a lot of people get frustrated. It's like a lot of times we've all met them. You meet somebody, they go, "Oh man,
yeah,
rebels," and then you stand next to them, "Man, I'm just tired, niggas on all that."
Yeah,
no, but you got to keep
gotta
pushing.
keep going.
You got to keep trying to figure out ways and keep communicating. Don't shut anybody off, because even talk to them, but don't let the negative get you. But you see what they talking about.
Yeah,
because you have to have a world view, and you have to incorporate everything. Like some people say, "Well, I don't want to read that." No, I read everything. I want to see, just like with sometimes we'll turn to Fox News just to see what them assholes talking about.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And sometimes even they have good points,
right.
Because when I'm not religious, I'm not political, but sometimes I look at the conservative views. Sometimes the conservative white people want to be with their own culture, with their own people. They want to be separated from us. So we should understand that we should be conservative as well and be with our own views and have our own culture.
Yeah, well, we have to. Well, the thing about it is that's why the Black Panther Party, it wasn't any whites in the Black Panther Party. We said all part of people, and we had coalitions with Puerto Ricans, Mexicans, whites, whatever. But you came out, you ain't gonna see whites hanging around off.
Yeah.
Because we said that we had to, we were for black people in particular, and we fought for black people in particular and all oppressed people. But we had to get our own shit together before we can do anything outside of that. We have to show our own people that this can be done, or whatever can be done. And you have to do it in a positive way. It's just like, even in how we dress. Like if you watch the movie I was telling you about, and it's a docu movie. And in one part they were talking about how the Black Panther Party changed the whole fashion.
Yeah.
Of people started wearing afro. And like I remember, there's a picture of me and this camera at the Central Headquarters, and this sister, I know she's a historian. She said, I saw that people. Says, "You sure was sharp?" I said, "Yeah, we were sharp."
Sure.
Because the thing about it is, how am I gonna come to you and say I'm trying to help you, and I look raggedy?
And it's funny you say that, because me, at the time, my grandfather was an entrepreneur and he was always clean.
Right.
But even to this day, I carry myself in a suit.
Yeah, that's when I first met you.
Yeah, that was me yesterday.
Yeah.
I carried myself in a suit. I try to stay in a suit everywhere I go. But even though I'm 30 years old and I'm young, and people in my age right now don't wear suits and really carry themselves, but my body is a representation of who I am first. That's the first thing somebody sees. So when somebody see me, I want to be together. I want to be solid. I want to be afro. Because people, when they see an afro, a braids, a beard, anything like that, it shows pride and identity.
Right.
And people, and I know in your time, people wasn't used to seeing pride and identity in an afro and black leather jackets and gloves and black pants and boots and just all black with the afro, and that's just so intimidating to this society, because if you look up the definition of black, everything is negative from that. Seeing that black hair and
even down to white folks, Afro's intimidating.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Still to this
they want
day,
you to be clean.
they
cut
go clean cut. Look like you
like
ready to
them.
go to work.
Yeah, right.
Look like them.
And that's the thing about it. For so long, I was thinking about that earlier this morning. I don't know why, but I was thinking about back during that time. Like even my grandmother, you know, women used to wear rouge.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they put on it, and it might be pink or white, but to lighten yourself
It's
up.
up.
And some people would bleach themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like Sammy Sosa's ass did.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, just to be like
your enemy.
Yeah.
But that's the even look at Dominican Republic. You know.
Yeah.
I think that's where Sammy Sosa from. That whole island, they bleached. They don't, and I think they share the island with Haiti.
Yeah.
So they ashamed of the blackness, and then there's a lot of people, even the people.
But see, when I was in the Dominican Republic, and the place I was staying, all the Haitians was the laborers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they were the gardeners, the housekeepers,
mm-hmm.
and in fact, I went to this one Haitian community, scared the shit out of me. But they had cockfighting.
Mm-hmm.
We went in to buy some weed,
mm-hmm.
but these brothers and sisters was living in these metal storage containers.
Mm-hmm.
You
Crazy.
know what I mean? And they was walking around with pistols and shit. I'm like, oh shit!
It's real.
I'm looking like, well, okay, anything go down, which way am I? You know what I mean? And so we went to buy some weed.
Yeah.
And because we were with a brother from the Dominican.
Yeah.
And so one person didn't have it, so we went on the other. So it was two brothers. So they sold us, but they said they just had a little bit left was for their personal use. So one of us said, "Hey man, we can break them off a little bit." And the other one, they got to argue this shit. Both of them.
Speaking of Haitian,
right? Both of them got pistols. I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the difference. So the only Haitian that I saw at the resort I was staying at, that was in management. She was light skinned with long hair.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Which is the same thing. You know.
Yeah, and it's crazy because they do that in like even in the Hispanic and the Mexican community. The lighter you are, the better you treated.
Oh yeah, it's anywhere.
And in Brazil and Mexico.
And then another thing, like with the immigrants now, the ones that's been here, they look down.
The people that live out in the valley, out in Texas, they don't want the new Mexicans to come in. No. They look down on them. Don't come over because they got that mentality.
Yeah.
Well, look,
all right, yeah, brother.
Yeah, I know I keep you all day. I just want to tell you thank you for coming out here to speak with me today. I really appreciate you brought me a book too. I really appreciate it. And it's all honor and respect to you, my brother. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll kick it again.
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
All right.